This is a really, really sad place. This is the Cowra prisoner of war camp, Second World War. Quite a number, hundreds probably, of Japanese, Italian, Indonesian people were held here during the war. There was the famous Japanese breakout when quite a number of them died, both through being killed by Australian soldiers and taking their own life. I don't know if there are ghosts here at night. I certainly feel the presence of some immense sadness, both about the specific people who were kept here and who died here, but also war in general. It's such a terrible thing. And we just, despite beautiful places, beautiful memorials like this in the peaceful countryside, we just seem to keep repeating war. In this activity, I visited a suite of 3 very poignant historic places on the outskirts of the small rural town of Cowra: the prisoner of war camp, the Japanese cemetery, and the Japanese garden and cultural centre. To understand the significance that these 3 historical sites have to a rural shire in the central west of New South Wales, we must briefly go back to World War II, when some 28 prisoner of war camps were constructed across Australia in a nationwide system designed to contain mainly German and Italian detainees, but also people from more than 30 other countries. A prisoner of war camp at Cowra was part of this network, and the first detainees were moved there in October 1941. Then, between January 1943 and August 1944, over 1,000 Japanese detainees arrived. During the early morning hours of 5th of August 1944, over 1,000 Japanese prisoners staged a breakout. In the largest and bloodiest prison escape of World War II in Australia, over 300 prisoners got out, and 18 buildings were set on fire. During the breakout and ensuing manhunt, 4 Australian soldiers were killed, and 231 Japanese soldiers were killed or took their own lives. Eventually, though, all escapees were recaptured and re-imprisoned. Now a heritage-listed site, the area where the camp was located contains only a few scattered remains of buildings and the original watchtower, plus there's a comprehensive display of historical information for visitors to read. Afterwards, a cemetery was created to bury the 231 prisoners who died during the breakout. In an extraordinary display of charity, members of the Cowra branch of the Australian Returned Services League cared for the graves in subsequent years. Formalisation of the site as an official war grave began in 1959. In 1960, the Japanese government was given permission to bring all of their country's war dead from other parts of Australia to be reburied at the cemetery, and the site was formally declared the Japanese War Cemetery on 22nd of November 1964. Neighbouring the site is the Australian War Cemetery, which holds 4 of the guards of the Cowra breakout, plus local service personnel who died in the area. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in the Cowra Cemetery. We came up to Cowra today to go to the Japanese part of the war cemetery and to go to the Japanese prisoner of war camp. It's a beautiful sunny day and the cemetery is very quiet. Frustratingly, I'm not allowed to use my drone here. It's within the airport zone, even though the airport's at least 6 kilometres away. Anyway, I just will continue to enjoy the day. In 1971, the Cowra Tourism Corporation moved to commemorate the ongoing relationship between the people of Cowra Shire and the people of Japan by proposing a special Japanese garden for the region. In turn, the Japanese government supported the development as a token of thanks for the respectful treatment of their war dead. Funded jointly by the Australian government and the private sector, the Cowra Japanese Garden and Cultural Centre opened in 1979 on a 5-hectare site on the side of Bellevue Hill to the north of the town, with the second stage opening 7 years later. In addition to receiving year-round tourists, the garden hosts a variety of traditional festivals, tea ceremonies, demonstrations and workshops on Japanese crafts, including calligraphy, origami and ikebana. Designed by noted Japanese landscape architect Ken Nakajima in the Edo period style, the site also holds garden talks and houses a small but significant bonsai collection for public display. The large eucalypt trees that were already on the site were specifically kept by Nakajima as a symbol of the Australian soldiers who fought in the war and his hope that they, along with his countrymen, would find eternal peace. The accompanying cultural centre, which surrounds a traditional Japanese dry-raked garden, houses an interesting collection of Japanese art, artefacts and historical clothing and is well worth a visit. While there are many Japanese gardens in other countries around the world, this garden stands apart as a beacon of international goodwill, reconciliation and peace. My father was born in far north Queensland in 1920, and he was only 19 when the Second World War started. He enlisted in the Australian Army at some time in his early 20s and was sent to fight against the Japanese in New Guinea. I know little of his time as a soldier, as he rarely spoke about that period in his life, but I do know that he was deeply and permanently traumatised by the jungle warfare he experienced. After the war, my father completed a degree in forestry at the University of Queensland, then moved to work at the forestry school in Canberra. Later, as an academic at the Australian National University, he was invited to take a 3-month sabbatical at the University of Tokyo. Given that he had actively fought against Japanese soldiers in his youth, this was a tough decision for my father. However, in an act of personal forgiveness, he did accept the position and, as my mother later told me, he was always kind and gracious towards the Japanese people during their time in Japan. After my parents' return, they planted a weeping cherry tree in the back garden, which became for me a potent symbol of peace and forgiveness. The drive to Cowra from my hometown of Canberra was 420 kilometres return, which cost $88 in petrol. Coffee at the wonderful Marsden Street Cafe in Burrawa was $6.50. Entry to the Japanese Garden and Cultural Centre was $20. In my next episode, I take an exciting hands-on journey working with coloured pieces of glass. For more information about living your own unlived life, if you go to my website, you can download a copy of my free book, Living Your Unlived Life, Finding Contentment by Honouring Your Dreams. And if it's your thing, you could like this video and subscribe to my channel.